Today we're going to learn about calculating y-intercept. So y-intercept is where your graph crosses the y-axis. So we're going to learn today how you can calculate that point if you don't have a graph to work with. So it says determine the y-intercept of the line that passes through the point 3 and 7 and has a slope of 2. So we're going to do it two ways. We're going to do it graphically, so on a graph, and algebraically, so using some algebra. So if I want to try to do this graphically, I know two things. I know that it goes through the point 3 and 7, and it has a slope of 2. So I think I'm going to start with the point 3 and 7. So I'm going to find 3 on the x-axis, and then go up to 7 on the y-axis, and make a point. So from there, it says the slope is 2. So that means my slope is 2. Now the slope is usually delta y over delta x, but this is not a fraction, or is it? So this 2 is secretly over 1. So when I graph, that means to get to the next point, we would go 2 up on the y and 1 over on the x. So starting from that point, now normally when we graph, we would start from the y-intercept and then go up 2 over 1. But really the slope tells you how to get from one point to the next. It doesn't matter what point you start at, as long as it's a point on our line. So I'm using this point, and we are going to go 2 squares up and 1 square over. And then I've run out of space. So I'm going to try to do it going backwards. If you have trouble doing it backwards, just turn your page around 180 degrees. So I'm going to try to follow the same pattern, but going in reverse. And I'm going to do it until we hit the y-axis. Now you could keep going, but I don't need to because I really just need to find that y-intercept. But you know what? It is good practice, so I am going to keep going just for practice of how to graph a line. And then once I run out of spots, I'm going to take a straight edge or a ruler and draw in my line. Okay, so from this, I can see that the y-intercept of my line is at 1. So I'm going to write a little statement here, just over here where I can see it. I'm going to say, therefore, the y-intercept is 1. If you didn't want to write a sentence, you could use the short form for y-intercept, which is b, and just say that b equals 1. I would accept either one of those. Okay, up next, we're going to try the same thing, but we're going to try to do it with algebra and calculations instead of with a graph, because sometimes the numbers are too big to graph, or you just don't have graph paper. So if I want to do the same question, but algebraically, I am just going to rewrite down so I can see them, that the point is 3, 7, and the slope is 2. So in order to find the y-intercept is just a point on our line. It's a very specific point, but it's still just a point on the line. And to find any point on the line, that's what the equation is for. So we're going to try using the equation of our line. So we said an equation of a line is written in the form y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept, and x and y just represent the points that are on our line. So what I can do is we want to try to find b, the y-intercept, so I can use the rest of that formula to help me calculate what b is. So I know my slope is 2. So in place of the m, I could put in a 2. And then they gave me a point, and every point has an x part and a y part. So I could put those into the formula for x and y. So in place of y, I can put in the number 7. And in place of x, I can put in the number 3. And then for b, I still don't know what the y-intercept is, although I do secretly know that it's going to be 1 because we just graphed it. But I'm going to leave it as plus b. So I put in the slope, I put in the point, and then we're going to try to solve for the y-intercept, or b. So I'm going to do that by multiplying these two together first. So 2 times 3 is 6. So I have 7 equals 6 plus b. And then I want to solve for b. So if it helps you to flip the equation over, please do that. If you don't feel that you need to flip the equation over, then don't. So I flipped mine over just to help out people that needed a little help with that. So I got 6 plus b equals 7. And then I want to solve for b by subtracting 6 from both sides. 7 take away 6 is 1. So once again, I got that the y-intercept is 1. It's the same thing we got when we did it on the graph. So therefore, the y-intercept is 1. Okay, if you join me in the next video, we will do a couple of more examples of how to calculate this.